And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today on this Monday. So today, my people, we're going to get to the super thanks. And the topic at hand kind of covers some of the comments that we got over the last couple of weeks, and something that I just wanted to kind of address due to having done a couple of Michael Jordan videos in the last few days, and that is why the style of Michael Jordan would not work in today's NBA. Now, fanboys, I'm sure you guys clicked on because you're hoping to hear something that will make you feel good, but I guarantee you, just like every other time you click on my videos, it is not for you. But anyway, before we get into this, I need to give a shout out to the channel members. So without further ado, shout out to Gary, aka G the Great One. Shout out to Dr. Les Barrett. Shout out to Thanos Snap Feminism. Shout out to Keith Brazell. Shout out to Charles Hooker. Shout out to In the Groove 56. Shout out to Vernon Lee Warren. Shout out to Wizman Ballin. Shout out to Great Juice. Shout out to Adidas 2000. Shout out to Siberius. Shout out to Moonside. Shout out to Alexander X. Shout out to The Real Heisenberg. And shout out to Mary Lewis. Thank you all so much for being members of the channel. Thank you all so very much for your continued support of the channel. Again, I truly cannot thank you guys enough. And without further ado, let's hop into the super thanks. I'm going to try to get through these a little quicker than normal so we can go ahead and get to the topic. Shout out to @NaturalWoman9970. She comes through with the $2 super thanks, and she says Will Smith 2.0, referring to the video I did, LeBron James, what he really said to Stephen A. Smith when he walked up on him in a way that he would not walk up on anybody who he thought actually may be a threat to him. Facts, Will Smith 2.0. Shout out to @NaturalWoman9970. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks, and thank you so very much for your support of the channel. Next up, shout out to Swan Daily coming through with the $2 super thanks. This is from my The NBA Deserves to Go Up in Flames video. He says, these narratives about LeBron keeping his body in shape is lowering the standards. It's interesting that no one ever brings that up. As an athlete, you're supposed to be in shape. Also, anyone who's into fitness knows that you don't need to spend too much money to get in shape. There's a reason why the supplement industry is worth billions of dollars. Yet these studies debunk their efficiency time again and again. This is facts. But what else is new? Yes, of course. This hyper focus on how much LeBron James does to keep his body in shape. It is yet another example of how we have lowered the standards in the LeBron James era. You know, it's like you said, first of all, as an athlete making millions of dollars, you are expected to stay in shape. And secondly, you know, him staying in shape, this should never be brought up as in reference to his basketball greatness. You know, but it is, and what else would we expect from the originator of lowering the standards in the NBA, from the originator of the manufactured career, from the originator of a superstar can't be criticized, and neither can his son, apparently. But anyway, shout out to @Swan Daily. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. And next up, Swan Daily again, coming from the same video. He said, just imagine the calamity of the modern Disney owning the modern NBA player. Yeah. We are in the twilight zone in this modern day and time, people. We are in the twilight zone where nothing truly makes sense. And well, first of all, Disney owning ESPN, when that first happened, it was like, what are we doing? Why is Disney, who's known for cartoons and children's things, now owning ESPN? But you can only assume that there's an agenda behind that, as it clearly is. But anyway, what else is new? Shout out to @Swan Daily. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks, and thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to @TheRealSiberius, coming through with the $5 super thanks from the same video about the NBA deserving to go up in flames. He says, hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times create soft men, and soft men create hard times. He says, the lack of accountability, competition, heart, and passion makes me sad. It's not just the NBA that is soft. Sports as a whole are soft. Our society is soft. I watched the NBA and NFL since 1983. I no longer watch either. Without channels like this, I wouldn't pay attention to sports at all. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for your support of the channel. Yes, this is a quote that I've actually read on this channel about hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And I would argue that we are in the stage of the weak man, and there are much harder times coming in life in the NBA. But shout out to @TheRealSiberius. Thank you so much for the $5 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to @TheDoctor3196. It's coming from the Dwight Howard video, saying he got kicked off the Lakers for calling LeBron James the B word. He got kicked off the Lakers for telling the truth, people. He comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, just one second. All right, he says, we all knew those kids back in school, the dealer, the test cheater, the class ditcher. It's not that hard to find out people's real nature, and none of them ended up getting anywhere. I've seen so many people getting kicked out of their education programs, fired from jobs, and divorced. They all had shady reputations and craptastically proved their reputation correct. But hey, to you fanboys, where there's smoke, there's ice storms, right? Shout out to @TheDoctor3196. Yeah, I remember back when I was in school, what the kids who I couldn't stand is the kid that would do something like, let's say, throw an eraser, throw something across the class thinking the teacher didn't see him, and the teacher saw him, and they would get caught, and they would throw a tantrum, swearing up and down that they did not do this thing when everybody in the class saw him do it. I couldn't stand kids like that. I can't stand people like that. And to me, this is LeBron James. This is LeBron James. This is LeBron James. Maybe even worse than that, because LeBron James has flopping compilations, yet he will get on a microphone and say he doesn't flop. Yet he will get on the microphone and say, oh, well, maybe I should learn to flop, tilt my head back, throw myself backwards. Maybe I should learn to flop. It's like, yeah, this is a big reason why LeBron James is just, Anyway, shout out to at the Doctor 3196. Thank you so very much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very, very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to at QQ1981 coming through with the $10 super thanks. And he simply says, thanks as always. Thank you so very much for continuing to support the channel. I truly cannot thank you enough. And next up, shout out to at Hold the Truth Hostage. This is coming from my Rob Parker says Steph Curry cannot be the greatest shooter of all time. He comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, Steph, 0 defense 2010s through 2020s. Ray Allen, greatest shooter of all time, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. Yeah, like I said, I agree. To me, I don't know if I can give Steph that official title of greatest shooter of all time with him not, being not even one of the most clutch shooters of all time. To me, that's a problem. Now, to be honest, I don't know if I give Ray Allen that title either. I don't know. Greatest shooter of all time, to me, there's so many people, or at least quite a few people who have a case for that. A lot of people try to take Bird out of it. But to me, because of the time and physicality that Bird had to go up against, to me, Bird has to be in the conversation as well. I don't see how you can have a greatest shooter of all time conversation and Larry Bird not be a part of that conversation. But anyway, shout out to at Hold the Truth Hostage. Thank you so very much for the $2 super thanks and your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to at CP-YX4CI coming from my "There is no right way to guard Michael Jordan" video. He says, as the old Turkish proverb said, when a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king. The palace becomes a circus. This self-proclaimed GOAT King has poisoned the entire well of the new generation of players, hasn't he? Nobody has talked about it on YouTube, but I believe the biggest weakness of Michael Jordan is he was too perfect. Even the strongest warriors had to take a break from time to time to let his significant other nurtures his very well-being. I don't know why lately, but I grow more and more fond of players like Kobe, Dirk, Duncan, KG, and Paul Pierce simply because they had one or two glaring weaknesses that need their teammates to cover up for them. This is the beauty of basketball, in my opinion, not the one-man show that oversimplifies today's play style. Facts. And that thing he said at the very beginning, wow, that is an old Turkish proverb. When a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king. The palace becomes a circus. Nothing describes the state of the NBA and what LeBron James did to it better than that. The previous players of previous generations spent all those years building a palace with, players like Bill Russell and Wilt and Bob Cousy and Pete Maravich and all these players and Magic and Bird who laid down the foundation, and Michael Jordan who put all the bells and whistles on, and then LeBron James moved into it and turned it into a circus in every way that you could possibly think of, people, in every way that you could possibly think of. And again, and this year he just overloaded it with clowns. He said, it's not enough clowns in this circus. Let me really load up on the clowns. Let's get JJ Redick and my son in here, and we're going to have a good time pretending that everything is normal. We're going to have a good time trying to force everyone to pretend everything is normal. Yeah, but anyway, shout out to @CPYX4C. I thank you so much for the $6 super thanks, and thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, we got @the_Doctor3196. Again, he's coming through with the $20 super thanks, and this comes from Stephen A. Smith. Says LeBron James is mad about not being the GOAT. He says this is actually the real reason that the straw finally broke the camel's back for LeBron James. It really wasn't Bronny. It's all the years of Stephen A. Smith denying him GOAT status. Anyway, he says, this is a classic case of how not to do a power play. At least he was using minions to do his bidding before. Now he's starting to lose whatever itty bitty amount of discipline he had and is yelling at people on camera for approval. Stephen A. is doubling down on his MJ stance because he knows he holds the power of the narrative. LeBron simped so much for attention, and Stephen A. is feeling his desperation. People, the only thing to do here is practice silence. It's like if a woman doesn't return your calls, then the only thing to do is no contact. That is why it's important to study 48 Laws of Power. Musashi Miyamoto's 5 Rings, and any Stoic books written by Ryan Holiday. You have to practice detachment. Keep your presence a mystery and devote to a higher purpose, so when everyone else are being swayed by the turmoils of modern gossip, a true master can operate in the shadows until it's time to unleash the results of hard work. This has been a historical mantra for centuries. LeBron violates all of these rules. Every little stupid thing he does is so heavily documented, and he's spending more energy suppressing tiny conflicts that he has no stamina left to focus on his own techniques or team building. He's more of a Kardashian than he is his own man. You don't hear Michael Jordan arguing over anything for the past 15 years, and he's worth over $3.5 billion since winning 6 for 6. That's how a GOAT endures the test of time. Michael has had tons of detractors throughout his career, and post-career, he is never desperate. And if Stephen A. is such an important litmus test to pass, MJ passed it and then some. Still pretty lame. LeBron is going to have a miserable descent into madness once he retires, because his mental state is decaying by the minute. It's really pathetic, y'all. Shout out to @the_Doctor3196 for that in-depth comment. So I hadn't studied any of these Laws of Power books, right? But like I said, I do study people, and I tend to study the most successful people and see what they have in common. And to me, just right off the bat, LeBron James does not have these things in common. First of all, the most successful people have a blind trust in the process. A blind trust. Meaning, they're not, they feel like as long as they put in the work, the outcome will come. Like, they don't question it. Like, it's as simple as 2 + 2 = 4 for these type of people. It's I do the work and I work harder than everyone else, then I will be better than everyone else. This is how the most successful people think. And I'm talking about Michael Jordan. I'm talking about Mike Tyson. I'm talking about Michael Jackson. They all think the same way. I've watched multiple interviews with all of these people, and they all think the same way. You know, Mike Tyson had his blind trust in Customato that if I do what Customato says, I will be heavyweight champion. This is what they believe. Michael Jordan had this: if I work harder than everyone else, I will be the best. Period. And they had this blind trust. And if you've ever watched anything about Michael Jackson, because he didn't do a whole lot of interviews, but if you've ever watched anything about his work ethic, it's the same thing. Just incredible work ethic in this belief that the work will give you the outcome. It's really that simple. And LeBron James obviously does not have this. LeBron James does not trust the work. He doesn't trust that the work, forget not even trusting the work. Like, I don't even know if LeBron James has the will to put in the work, has the want to put in the work. And just like the commercial of Michael Jordan saying, hey, maybe you believe my game was built on flash and not fire. You know, was built on the flash and not the hard work. This is LeBron James. This is what LeBron James and many people believe about Michael Jordan is that for the most part, he was born Michael Jordan. He was just born an incredible basketball player. And I honestly believe this is what LeBron James thinks. LeBron James probably thinks that Michael Jordan was similar to himself. Someone super talented, you know, initially at a young age, who, you know, that talent carried him through to the NBA and he got to be the GOAT. But no, LeBron James fanboys, it was the work. It was what you hear about Michael Jordan, treating practices like it was the finals. About every time he stepped on a court, it was the finals. That's what it was about. And then, you know, the things he said too about the silence. You know, Michael Jordan doesn't have to speak on any of these things. He doesn't have to speak because he knows who he is. He knows he can rest comfortably because he understands the amount of work he puts in. He understands that, you know, to try to convince him. I mean, first of all, you got to get into the mentality. I'm sorry, I'm spending a long time, but he wrote quite a bit in this, and it's kind of, you know, sparked me just thinking about this whole thing. But like I said, you got to think about what kind of personality actually wants to convince somebody that they're the best. That's very weird. I mean, seriously, think about what kind of person actually wants to convince somebody to call them the best. That is strange behavior. Fanboys, you guys, for you guys to be on this train the way you are, that is super strange behavior. You know, any just normal person is going to, it's like, if I have to convince you I'm the best, it means I'm not the best. If I have to convince you to call me the best, that means I'm not the best. And I'm not talking about, you know, I'm talking about in a arena of sports where people have debates all the time, where people like to talk about when you're trying to convince the majority of people who don't think you're the best, what kind of mentality is that? You know, seriously, this is a serious question to you LeBron James fanboys. What kind of thinking do you have to say, Okay, well, on their own, they don't think I'm the best. So let me spend a bunch of money and campaign to be the GOAT. Let me spend a bunch of money and try to convince them that they should call me the GOAT, even though this is not what they think. I mean, that's some, yeah. Anyway, shout out to at the Doctor 3196. Thank you so much for the $20 super thanks. Thank you for your continued support of the channel. Thank you so much for your comments. And I'm gonna say this, in our reality, the LeBron James fanboys, you guys are delusional and lost forever. But there have been quite a few people who have commented, since I started this channel, that since watching my channel, they have changed their opinion about LeBron James. That they have opened their eyes to LeBron James. And, I attribute that to this just being, a community to where if people watch the videos, if people read the comments, because a lot of you guys put out great comments, great, well thought out comments that, the light comes on for some people. So not the LeBron James fanboys, but people who just may be regular fans of the game and hadn't really looked into LeBron in depth, in the modern NBA in general in depth to ask questions about some of the narratives they promote and why things don't quite make sense when they're telling you, LeBron James is the greatest player to ever play the game, and this modern era is the most skilled era we've ever seen. What? Defense? Why would you ask that question? Well, we're not talking about defense. We're only talking about offense. And we're talking about offense, absence of defense. This is what makes them the greatest, the most skilled era ever. So, yeah, I feel, it does reach some people. But anyway, next up, shout out to @Swan Daily again, coming through with the $2 super thanks. He says, what are your thoughts on sports betting in the NBA? Now you brought up the refs. I personally hate that a lot of creators don't bring up the toxicity of it. Also, I hate that every time players are shooting free throws, we see a gambling ad. It's like free throws are part of the game. I'm not a fan of sports betting. I'm not a fan of sports betting for a lot of reasons. But number one, I think it helps promote this more focus on stats. It helps promote for people to focus on the stats more. When you have people in the audience, just one more rebound and I'll make my parlay. When you have people focus like that, I don't think it's a good thing. The second thing is, to me, it helps further increase the potential for corruption. There's always been corruption probably since the beginning of sports, where you have to worry about players gambling and you have to worry about refs gambling and different things that could actually potentially interfere with the integrity of the game. But to have it so prevalent now, I think is a much greater chance that you increase the odds for this kind of corruption from both the refs and the players. So yeah, I'm not on board with sports betting. I've never done any sports betting, and I don't have any intention on ever doing any sports betting. But anyway, shout out to @Swan Daily. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to @CP-YX4CI coming through with the $6 super thanks, and this is also coming from Bill Simmons. Says the refs helped Michael Jordan be the GOAT. He said, this is so embarrassing at so many levels. First of all, were they implying that the refs of the NBA are so synonymous with children, teenagers, with very little self-control over their impulses, and would fawn all over Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant at first sight, thus forgotten their duty to officiate the game fairly for that strange reason? And that's and what's the helping the GOAT case even mean? I really want to know why they coddle today's players so bad that they will gatekeep all the ugly truth from them no matter what. Are these media pundits losing their minds already over some dirty money they can't wait to steal from us by further misinforming us yet again? You know, one really has to wonder how deep the unclutch sports members have their heels dug into the media. One really has to wonder how far the rabbit hole goes. It's like you never know. But some of the things that come up, you just really have to question. Number one, why is it even coming up? Like what made Bill Simmons say this? And it's like Michael Jordan has been seen as the GOAT for years. And, again, outside of the fact that superstars can get calls from refs, we all know this. But, honestly, I have my thoughts about why that is. Now, part of it may be an NBA thing. I'm not going to deny that maybe the NBA gives some incentives to promoting their stars in that sense. But again, to me, the other half of it is that normally the superstars are the guys putting in the most effort, and just human nature tends to, I think without it even being a conscious thought, we tend to lean towards those who we see putting in the work. So this is, in my opinion, why a lot of superstars get those calls as well. But outside of that, for Michael Jordan, it's like the stuff that people have been coming up with now, it really feels like that unclutched sports may have their heels dug in deeper than we all know. I mean, from saying stuff like this to the whole Nick Wright and what's that? I can't even remember the guy's name who wanted to go back and count all of the steals of Michael Jordan to say that, this defensive player of the year wasn't even earned. They said he got this many steals, and it actually wasn't that many. And, when this kind of stuff is going on, it raises a lot of questions. And then, it raises a lot of questions about how deep the rabbit hole goes when it comes to unclutched sports. But, that's something we may never know. But anyway, shout out to at CP-YX4CI. Thank you so much for the $6 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to Dr. Les Barrett 921 coming through with the $2 super thanks, and this is coming from the LeBron James fans hit new low. You guys, LeBron James fans, fanboys, you guys, in this R&B song for LeBron James, this is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life, and you guys are all a part of it. He says, thanks, Uncommon. I have to commend you for being able to report this ridiculous love song for LBJ. I don't know how you were able to get through it. That lunacy as just a title. So I hit the link you supplied to get some insights on the mind of a LeBronite. What kind of bizarre world did I step into? The commentary was extraordinarily wild, so I left a comment to show that I see what LeBronites' problems are. LOL. First, they're incurable betas, so they thought of being a real man. So the thought of being a real man offends their sensibilities. Second, they think that they can finesse their way through life without facing challenges that are a normal part of life. They'll have standards nullified so that they can feel elevated, while steadfastly discrediting any objections to their every delusional claim. Last and certainly not least, LeBronites looked at LBJ's body and gleefully said, "My king." Some of them weren't satisfied with that. They said, "My glorious king." Now they're singing a ballad to this fraud. We already know some LeBronites aren't going to be totally satisfied, and that a blow-up doll of LBJ is on the way. The true competitor among LeBronites is Savannah. Shout out to Dr. Les Barrett. Yeah, that R&B love song for LeBron James. Hey, you guys. I really don't even know what more to say. Like I said, I wouldn't play it on this channel. That song will never, ever get played on this channel. That is completely ridiculous. A R&B love song for your glorious king, fanboys. You guys got the audacity. Anyway, shout out to Dr. Les Barrett, 921. Yeah, I can't even talk about that subject no more. That's ridiculous. For the $2 super thanks and for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to @ThanosSnap Feminism. This is coming from the LeBron James fans now saying that LeBron James should coach when he retires. He says, isn't the system a form of pseudo coaching where LeBron runs and dribbles around the air for 20 seconds, then passes it, expecting you to make the shot? Indeed, I would agree with that. The system is definitely a form of pseudo coaching, of pseudo dictatorship for LeBron James. Shout out to @ThanosSnap Feminism. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to @Trey04Will. This is coming from Stephen A. Smith, says he was wrong about Bronny after Bronny had the big showing, everybody, of 17 points and a loss. He says, thanks. I get the strange feeling that Clutch Sports Media is going to pressure the CFL and the media to float the idea for Bronny to be comeback player of the year. That's how silly this over-the-top Bronny coverage has gotten. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I really don't know if anything else could be a surprise. Could it, people? If I don't know if they could do anything else that would be surprising. You know, not at the point we are now with the fact that Bronny's in the league, that he's on the Lakers, that they're trying not to get him to be criticized yet, while they're doing everything they can to promote anything about him. This is yeah, I don't know if anything else could be a surprise. Got JJ Redick coaching. I mean, this year it has been the circus that we all thought it was going to be. But shout out to @Trey04Will. Thank you so much for the $5 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. And last but not least, shout out to @CP-YX4CI coming through with the $6 super thanks. He says, I only had one thought after listening to this video. The NBA is going to go down sooner than later. I don't think anyone will take the NBA seriously anymore with such an unnecessary high praise for Bronny James, 17 points. P.S. Just how entitled that bum thinks he is to destroy the league all by himself. There are still many thousands of fans around the world that loves the NBA. Shout out to @CP-YX4CI. And unfortunately, I have to agree with this. I think the NBA could be headed down sooner than later. So yeah, matter of fact, now that we're here, let's get to the title of the video. Oh, you know what? Let's see. Oh, wow. This video's already 40 minutes long, people. So I tell you what, I'm actually going to end the video here. And I'm going to do the topic. So I'm going to change the topic of this video. And I'm going to put the topic out on another video since we're at 40 minutes already. But shout out to each and every one of you who gave super thanks. You all are greatly appreciated. I truly cannot thank you enough. I truly cannot thank you for continuing to support the channel. I'll probably rename the video something that was in the super thanks. But as always, thank you not only for supporting this channel, but please continue to support all of the channels that bring you the real deal. Please continue to support the channels that that don't just accept what mainstream media says about these players being so much more skilled. Please continue to support the channels that don't just believe when the mainstream media says LeBron James is at least he's default number 2 of all time. Please continue to support the channels who don't believe it when the mainstream media tell you that Kobe Bryant was never in the GOAT conversation. Please continue to support the channels that will continue to hold these modern NBA players and media to the standards that it used to be. Shout out to Angry Old Hoops, Sports and Fitness Rants, Man Down Sports, Uncut Hoops, Scap Attack, Sports Tea, Brandon Love Sports, Too Raw for Sports, Ticket TV, Phenomenal Fitness. Who else we got? 93 Zay, Kwame Brown. And anybody I left off, please continue to support these channels. Please continue to like and subscribe to all of these channels. You all let me know what you think in the comments, and have a truly fantastic day. And I'll see you next time. All right.